And we're live. Welcome to Open Bar Fantasy Baseball Podcast. It's Sunday, July 19th. I'm your host, Tambo. We're here with Open Bar Ben. It's our first FAAB Sunday for TGFBI, but I've been bombing all weekend. Ben, it's been rough 24 hours for me. I had a dual draft. I was drafting back-to-back or simultaneously leagues last night and Saturday. We were invited to the Fantasy Gospel TGFBI Light, we'll call it. And I was drafting multiple leagues at the same time. It did not go well. How'd yours go?
Mine didn't go as bad as yours. We were in contact there for a little bit. It was kind of funny because I was like, I was at my parents' house, had a 40th birthday party to go to, and I got pretty much all the way through it, and I started having connection issues, which it's been a long time since I've had that issue. And then I tried to switch to my I'm not a Fantrax guy. I tried to switch to the phone, and when I hit draft room on the app, it kicks you to the web page, and it said I had no teams, nothing was there, so I couldn't get back in. So I had things queued up. I felt bad because I had some. I got time. Oh, that was the other thing. I told you, I think we were on the phone at the time. I had like 13 seconds left. It showed in the corner there, 13 seconds countdown. I'm getting ready to click, and it goes, wah, and I'm like, what the hell just happened?
You timed out.
It timed out. So I don't think it was synced up. So I refreshed the page, and it was better. But
that seemed to be a little bit of an issue in our league. There was like quite a few people that were live. They were there in the draft, but there was some people that timed out.
Yeah,
it was a little weird. Yeah,
and a couple of comments said it was somebody said after doing some slow drafts, this is really fast. And I thought, it's been a while since I drafted anything too, and I was like, holy crap, this is really flying by. But before we get anywhere else, I just want to. It's bars open, right?
The bar is open, and today we got 3 or 4 segments. We're going to start with FOMO. Okay.
We're starting with FOMO.
We're going to start with FOMO. We got a FAAB. It's obviously a big FAAB weekend. It just rolled through at about 9 o'clock Central Standard, about 40 minutes ago. Okay. Then we're going to do a little segment about I'm not surprised. These are guys that are kind of low-ish in ADP, names you'll definitely recognize. But if they went off in this short season, we wouldn't be surprised, right? But I want to get into this FOMO right away, because when I look back at all of my teams from February and March when we were drafting, they were all pretty similar, right? But then there was guys that I wanted that I was obviously missing out on. Okay, I'm gonna start at the top with Quick Nick Castellanos. Like, I had 0 shares of Castellanos, and I wanted to change that immediately. I definitely drafted him in my very first draft of Saturday, yesterday, okay? And I wasn't able to score him in the Fantasy Gospel TGFB Light, unfortunately. But this guy, look at these numbers, okay? We all know he's been kind of stuck in Detroit in that huge park.
Yeah, Wrigley made a big difference.
Went nuts at Wrigley, okay? Post All-Star break, 321, 356, 646, 1.002 OPS for the Cubs. They probably had something better, so they didn't sign him, I guess, right? They moved on. But his exit velo has always been 89 miles an hour for the last 4 years. His expected slug is top 10% of the league for the last 4 years. He's always a plus batting average guy. And now he's going to one of the best parks in the league. I had to have him.
That's interesting, because he's not your usually you're salivating over the power speed guys, so to speak.
Right. He's not going to run a whole lot, but this guy is power. We just necessarily haven't seen it in Detroit.
Right. No, I agree. And I drafted him a couple of years ago because all the expected stats were, screaming by. And I think even his exit velocity was a little bit better back then. And that might have been his age 26 season. So his exit velocity isn't that great. It's 44th percentile.
Right.
But all his expected stats are,
his expected slug has always been amazing, though. Like I said, top 20,
90th percentile here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, but it was just like, it never came never came to fruition. He had a couple of stretches there the year I had him, I think, and then even last year, I think he had well, no, that was with the Cubs. When he was still at Detroit, he had a run at the end of the season, I think, one time. But interesting. Yeah, I really don't have – is that your only guy, or you got a couple more?
No, I definitely got another guy. I don't want to finish there, though. When I was thinking with Castellanos is I was always early in January, February, March, as we drafted, I was always doing the power speed guys, just like you mentioned early, okay? But then when I noticed all the power guys that are middling or late, what are you losing? You're losing your batting average. There's a ton of guys that can slug, but they're losing the batting average. You're not going to lose that when you draft Nick Castellanos. So this is one of the things I really tried to protect yesterday when we drafted.
I'm going to give some – he's had some bad batting average years, hasn't he?
Nope.
I'm going from memory here.
What's bad? Give me a bad. Give me a number.
All right, here. Let's look. I'm here. Where are we at?
His expected batting average has always hovered at around 300, 290, as far as I could tell. This guy's a plus batting average guy, and I don't know that he's ever hit under 270. What do you got?
272. Yeah, I guess it's not as bad. Maybe it was – did I have in 2015? Man, I can't remember. 255. So he had some 250s early on. Those were full seasons.
So that was probably – that was probably a down year. Maybe an injury occurred, something like that. This is one of the guys that I feared on missing out. I just went for it. I probably pulled the trigger maybe a little bit early, but my outfield in that particular league is stacked now, and I like it a lot. I got my steals early. I went and got Trey Turner. Okay, I got Starling Marte, and then I got Nick Castellanos, who's probably not going to get a lot of steals. But then my average is protected, and that's a really good lineup, obviously, in Cincinnati.
Yeah, they're shaping up to be one of the better ones in the Central for sure.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I end up getting some Akiyama shares in a couple of leagues, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully he pans out. Yeah, it's interesting. I always kind of considered Castellanos to be a Marcell Ozuna light a little bit. There's always expected stats seem to be really high all the time, and I guess I never really latch on to batting average anyway, as you know, to my detriment. But with those, I mean, I'm always just looking at guys that hit the ball hard. If you hit the ball hard and make, plenty of contact, you're usually things are going to, probabilities are in your favor. So that's not, I see the draw. He's out of Detroit. Could be interesting.
Ben, you know that I'm familiar with this next guy. I had him last year. I'm not entirely sure if you drafted him in a Friends League last year, but it's Franmil Reyes. All the way, again, through February and March, I've missed out. In my opinion, when it comes down to these massive power guys, he was the last when it came to ADP. I felt like there was a major drop-off if you missed out on Reyes, and I continued to miss out on Reyes, and my teams will be hurting for it. So anyways, yesterday, I went and got him. I wanted Franmil Reyes. When you look at that Indians or Spiders lineup, I'm not sure what they're going to go with their team name in the future, but OBP guys, he's going to be batting in the fifth hole. Cesar Hernandez, we know, is probably leading off. Jose Ramirez, Frankie Lindor, Carlos Santana, famously an OBP guy, and then Franmil fifth.
Yeah, Hernandez isn't really that great of an OBP guy, but he's a contact guy, right? Mostly
contact and OBP. Like it's kind of been a little volatile. He's always been above average.
Okay, I thought his OBP had been dropping for the last few seasons, but anyway, still a good lineup to be hitting in that. I mean, if he's hitting fifth, and he kills it. I mean, he's a legit. Almost Aaron Judge type of power, right?
We definitely skipped on the Judges, the Stantons, those injury risks.
Because you can get those guys way down here. That's exactly what makes the most sense to me, right. Or to us, which, it's always funny, right? Because we end up thinking a lot more alike than we're not as headbutt back and forth on some of these people as maybe we thought we were going to be we started doing this. But yeah, I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
It's not worth taking a risk, especially with the injury bugs on some of these guys. So Franimal's a great get there.
11.6 barrels percentage in 2018, 14.8 in 2019. That's top 6% of the league. I like this guy as a low ball, might be the home run champ in a short season like this.
Legit,
right?
yeah, right.
And I also like that.
Any season. He might be the home run champ. If he gets playing time, he'd be the home run champ in any season, really.
Right. I like that Cleveland lineup way more than most people, apparently. I got a ton of shares of Domingo Santana, who bats at Franimal. And then Oscar Mercado, who a lot of people like. Unfortunately, he's going to be batting 7th or 8th in that lineup. That's a really good lineup, in my opinion. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it. And then Franimal's in the middle.
Yeah, and that Mercado Hernandez dynamic is really interesting. I think they could probably flip flop at certain parts of the season. That's my guess. But Mercado had a lot of helium early on in drafts or in earlier drafts because they thought he was going to be the leadoff spot. I think a lot of people were leaning that way, but now obviously Hernandez is going to most likely be there, right?
Right. Yeah, they've already basically said he's going to be leading off.
I saw that news, but if I had to guess, you might see some interchangeability there.
So those are two guys I definitely went after yesterday. Ben, we talked about this before we got started. When it comes down to FOMO,
I don't really have a lot of it. So I really believe in the guys that I want, and I get them, and I get them in a lot of leagues. Now, let's see. Yesterday was such a blur. Did a fair amount of drinking too. So, but yeah, I didn't have anybody targeted on the FOMO scenario. What ends up happening is I will have a Syndergaard situation, and I have to scramble on the waiver wire then for somebody like that. I don't have a whole lot of variation. I know that's probably not, but I'm all in on these guys. I have my strategy and I stick with it, and it usually ends up being okay to fairly well. So
stick to the plan for Open Bar Ben.
Stick to the plan. And if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down in flames.
Yeah.
Flames, or I'll hang tight. Which I usually.
We got a question before we move on. We got a question from one of our commenters already. Okay, this is Whack, our buddy Whack. Has anyone in all the leagues you've been a part of drafted both versions of Ohtani? Now, generally, what he's talking about is Yahoo leagues because they're separated, right?
Yeah, right. I haven't seen it.
No, I've never seen it either. Most of the leagues we play in now, Yahoo uses him as a separate player, a separate P, and a utility guy. Now the leagues we play in now, he's basically one player, right? And then you got to decide how high you want him, when do you want him. I've not gone towards this at all. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Whack, man? Good to hear from you. I have recommended not touching any Ohtani anything because it's one, you're going to have the 6-man rotation thing. He's come back from the injury, and
days off before he pitches, days off after he pitches.
Right, so exactly. So you're not getting a full version of any of either side of the ball. It's a really great story. I think eventually he's going to be focusing on one or the other. Is my take on that too, but maybe not. Whack did. Whack did. Why
not? Why not?
Do it, yeah.
The 6-man rotation is definitely a problem when you're talking about drafting a team. Obviously he's not going to pitch as often as the rest of them. Okay, we're talking about 12 starts. I think we figured out that most guys are going to get 12 starts. He's already down to probably 10. So you're already going to miss out on some stats there, right?
Yeah, and that sucked even on the Andrew Haney front too. I liked Andrew Haney, but I was like not doing it.
Well, a lot of people still like Dylan Bundy as well to break out. There's a strong possibility that that could happen, obviously outside of Camden, but it's going to be trouble. Same reason. 6-man rotation. He's only going to get like 10 starts.
Right. You're just not getting the volume that you're going to really probably need. So it's tough to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can just breeze through some news and notes real fast. Okay. And then if any of these you want to touch on, we can go back to. Sound good?
I'm going to touch them all. I like touching everything.
No touching, Ben. No touching. No touching. You know how I feel about that. It's assault. It
depends. It's all prerogative, whatever perspective.
So we know that by now that Puig signed and basically never really signed with the Braves. Okay, he signed with the Braves, allegedly tested positive. It's a little bit foggy exactly what happened, but he is still a free agent, right?
Right. Is this surprising to anyone that this is a weird story with Puig at all?
No,
I mean,
not at all.
It's
not at all.
It's fucking goofy.
Franchi Cordero traded from the Padres to the Royals. Ben, we're excited about it, but let me breeze through these and then we'll touch on the rest, okay?
Yeah.
Byron Buxton injured again. Cleat stuck in the outfield. He was carted off. Allegedly okay. We'll see how that goes. Zach Wheeler gave up 2 runs to the O's today, but he has mentioned that the baby is coming, and he's not sure after that happens that he's coming back. So that's an interesting note on Wheeler. Rizzo, full workout today. I did see him before their game today, and he was just taking one knee, hitting jacks. He looks fully healthy, but that back has been a problem for 2 or 3 years now. So keep an eye on that. Josh James will start the 4th game for the Astros. That's got to be exciting for you, Ben. There was some question marks on that. It looks like Urquidy still dealing with some Rona issues. This is a really interesting note for the Astros. Roberto Osuna hasn't even thrown yet in summer camp, right? Problem for the Astros. Ryan Presley's also a little bit banged up, but go get you some Presley if you have the opportunity, because he's probably going to close out games for the Astros starting next week. Jacob deGrom should be ready for opening day. He had a little bit of a scare, came out after 1 inning in the middle of last week. He's dead. And this one actually does worry me, okay? Although they've said they're confident he will be ready for opening day, Anthony Rendon had oblique tightness and came out the other day, okay? These obliques are serious problems. We've seen guys repeatedly go down with this. I think it was Aaron Judge last year that sat out nearly 2 months with an oblique, right? So this could be a huge problem for the Angels going forward. They spent a lot of money on Anthony Rendon.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, that
was there some change involved?
Change?
With some clinkage there was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Ben, I know we were excited about the Franchi deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is an exciting ball player. This will be interesting. It's been an unfortunate circumstance in San Diego for the last couple of years, 2-3 years now for those guys. You got a log jam of pretty talented outfielders. And now San Diego's trading a lot of those guys away. He had, was it Margot went to, was it the Rays?
I'm not sure where Manny's at. He's just hasn't really panned out altogether.
Yeah, but you had a lot of talent, and then now this is another guy who's fast. You talk about your power speed combo guys. This is it. I know there's some swing and miss to his game, but there might be an opportunity for playing time in Kansas City, which would be awesome. So I like it.
Is there anything else that you want to touch there? I know you like Josh James a lot. In our early drafts, you were even drafting Josh James over Urquidy.
Yeah, I just for the strikeout numbers, man, it was he's got some control issues, but I think Urquidy kind of does too. It was just a calculated risk I was willing to take. And
he was much improved in the second half of last season out of the bullpen. But you were absolutely right. He does have a little bit of a walk issue. If he's able to harness that, as we've seen it before with other breakout SPs, he could be the man in Houston going forward. Yeah,
I it's interesting. You see a lot of guys with control issues that are working on shortening. Al Leiter, as goofy as the segment was, it was pretty good on kind of the explanation of shorten up your arm action to improve your control. But the Trevor Bauers have done it.
Lucas Giolito just as last year, same thing.
Yep, and now Leiter touched on Robbie Ray. And I saw Michael Uhira had a big, bold prediction on Robbie Ray being a Cy Young candidate possibility. And he had a big year. What was it? 3 years ago. And then he got line drive comebacker off the head, off the noggin. And that pretty much ended his season. Cut it short a little bit, but he's got talent. Just got to get the ball under control. So yeah, I like the Josh James. I'm excited about that. I feel like that's a basement bargain bin deal there for ADP. I like it. If you got him, it's going to be awesome.
That was a really good deal. He's going to pile up the strikeouts. I actually do have him in at least one share of Josh James. But I want to talk about Francie a little more.
Fired up.
When that trade went down, we'll just call it half of fantasy baseball Twitter just lit up, right? Everyone's just excited. Everyone's aware of the power speed combo. Some people drafted him early in TGFBI. We're talking way back in February, right?
I did. But I was just kind of in deeper leagues.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't getting drafted. And I was just like, you know what? There's always, Will Myers. I mean, some of these guys are, get hurt. So I'm hoping it's not Franchi this year. It was just kind of a hope and a prayer. So, yeah, fascinating.
Pure raw talent right there for Franchi Cordero. Okay. But when I wake up the next day, the other 50% of fantasy Twitter just absolutely sharded all over Franchi, right? And I didn't understand it.
I love that word, by the way, sharded. That's a great word.
I was just so mad. Like, why can't you just be happy and just have, like, we all know that Franchi has a little bit of a strikeout problem. Okay. So then that was part of my post as well. When I posted on there, like, understand, like, there's a lot of swing and miss in Franchi Cordero. He's an extremely raw talent. Okay. But my thing was, let's look at the numbers. All right. What's the comparison? Right. It's Joey Gallo. We know that there is a place in baseball and in fantasy baseball for Joey Gallo, right? You all love him. What is he? I didn't look up his ADP, but we're talking about what? A top 100 player, certainly, right?
Yeah.
So let's do these numbers. When it comes down to zone contact, Z contact in 2018, 72% for Franchi, 72% for Joey Gallo. 2019, 73.5 for Franchi. He improved. Didn't bat a lot last year. I think there was injuries there, but also 73% for Joey Gallo. Contact rate in 18, 65% for Franchi, 61 for Joey Gallo. Contact rate in 19, 69% for Franchi, 59 for Gallo. Gallo is always hovering around this 60% contact mark, okay? Then it comes to the barrels. He's no slouch. Franchi's no slouch. He's got the power. 2018, 12.9% barrel rate. Now, this is Gallo's like the king of barrels, right? 22.5. That's sickening.
I wasn't aware that there were, that somehow slipped past me. And we were touching on it earlier, but that's fascinating.
It's pretty incredible. The exit velocities are relatively the same, actually. Franchi, 93.9, so we're talking about 94%. And then Gallo, 94.3, also 94%. But when it comes to the expected batting average, Franchi was around just short of 270 when we know we're not getting it from Gallo, right? It was like 234 expected BA, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, the Cordero numbers, his major league numbers, I mean, it's all small sample size stuff,
Extremely
right?
Small sample size.
But what's interesting to me when you did the tweet and you see the progression, there was improvement there on the contact rate. And I think this is a guy, if you get enough at bats and playing time, holy crap.
That was my point.
Little improvement. I mean, he could explode. And if, Gallo doesn't have any speed, Franchi does. And if he can get some stolen bases out of him, this is a good get. It's undrafted, basically, in a lot of leagues.
Like, I didn't want to just draw this one-for-one comparison, right? But when some of the elite gurus in this game that we play came out and kind of sharded on Franchi Cordero, I had to look it up. I had to figure out what the deal is. Now, both of them have a strikeout problem. We're talking about 35 to 40% of the time they're both striking out. So that's ugly.
Right. But the league has a strikeout. It's basically a strategy for the entire league at this point, so I'm okay with that. Anymore, if you're looking past it on Joey Gallo, which it was close to 40% for Joey, right?
That's exactly my point. There is a world where Joey Gallo exists, and it's our game, right?
Yeah.
He's real. It's real. And Frenchie Cordero can produce in the same manner. Okay. Now, I think Gallo's going to hit in obviously the heart of the Texas order. Frenchie probably won't in Kansas City. You've talked about this way back in the winter, but that Kansas City Royals lineup,
sneaky good.
It's sneaky good. Now, I think someone I noticed
sneaky now, though. I mean, they're getting some.
They have no OBP guys whatsoever.
Well,
I think if you're streaming starting pitchers, you might want to attack this a little bit because you're going to rack up double-digit Ks probably all day.
Mondesi's going to come around, dude. Watch him have a 400 OBP.
No chance. No, never. I found that really interesting. I was just shocked. We know that Joey Gallo exists, and it's a mainstay in our game, and everyone just kind of, or like 50%, wanted to crap on this Franchi Cordero trade when he's going to get, just like you said, regular at-bats to figure this out. We're going to find out rather shortly if he's the real deal or not, but he's going to crush the ball and get us some stolen bases at the same time. And you're getting him at the very end of drafts.
Yeah, like I said, undrafted a lot. Wack just mentioned, but Matheny's their manager. I thought about that. I was like, yeah, the stolen bases might drop a little bit in Kansas City overall. Hopefully, Matheny is going to be open. When your team is built for more of that, you better freaking be able to use it. You
got to utilize your tools, man.
You got to work with what you got. So hopefully, he gets his head out of his butt and does that. So
couldn't do it in St. Louis, but maybe you can get it done across the street in Kansas City.
Yeah, he was all right in St. Louis too. He won a few playoff games.
Yeah, I guess. Let's move on. There's going to be we just got a little segment here. It's called I'm Not Surprised. Now, I think you have a couple shares of these guys. I actually don't have any shares of any of these guys. Okay. But I wouldn't be surprised if they absolutely go off and just catapult their teams into the playoffs in this short season. We're going to talk about Justin Turner, Rhys Hoskins, Corey Seager, Carlos Correa. Now, Correa, we know is an elite hitter when he's healthy. He's just never healthy. ADP has continued to slip. He's basically a bargain, and I think both of our opinions.
Yeah, he is. To be full disclosure, I think I have a share of each of them somewhere. I grabbed Correa basically because I felt like I had to. I missed on a couple of shortstops that I wanted at that point. I'm like, holy crap, he's still here. I'm like, yeah. If at that point in the draft, you're saying put aside the injury risk, and grab him. I'm not big on Justin Turner. Never really have been. I don't know how that he hits. I mean, he's puts together some solid. He's a solid, steady, consistent producer. I've never had any shares of Justin Turner ever. Didn't have any plans to get him this year. Hoskins, I thought about. His StatCast stuff doesn't really back it up. But he had a great or a pretty good year the year before, and he just took a nosedive.
Hoskins is a good OBP guy, batting in front of Bryce Harper. Obviously, he did struggle last year, but I do look for him to rebound. He was one of those extreme launch angle guys, like almost ridiculous launch angle guys. He has played, the notes were there. He has played with the swing a little bit, so we'll see if that gets corrected.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I wouldn't be surprised on him. Turner, I mean, he's upper in the mid to late 30s now, right?
Yep, he's getting up there.
I've kind of written him off. I'm an ageist. I'm what do you call it? I'm prejudiced against old people, I guess.
That's ageist, basically. Yep, that's exactly ageist.
Seager. You got Seager on there. That's my guy.
Right. Right.
So
Some people are liking Corey Seager to maybe be an MVP. I've seen that on Twitter for what it's worth.
That'll be tough. I think they got him moved down in the order now.
I think I saw him batting 5th today.
Yeah. I mean, you got Betts in there now and everything.
Right.
You always poo-pooed on him with me because he doesn't get the stolen bases, but he's always had some good hard hit stats, some good expected stats. They weren't phenomenal last year. If I'm kind of just going by memory, and I end up having to get him at one point in one of these drafts too. But I think he's my backup shortstop in that league. But yeah, he could have a monster year, man. And like I said, I don't think anybody would be surprised. The talent's there.
It's been a couple of weeks now, but I think I looked up Justin Turner's numbers because I know he's a slow starter. Okay. When I looked up his career stats, again, you said he's like low 30s, mid 30s. It's been a long career for Justin Turner already. I think he had over like 2,400 plate appearances in April and May, and he had like 13 home runs. This guy is an extremely slow starter. And someone said, well, he plays better in the heat. He plays in LA. He's always played in LA. At worst, it's like 75 degrees.
Oh, he played New York for a while.
Okay.
Didn't play
fine.
well in New York, I don't think.
Fine. That's fine. But this is something, it's not been a season or 2 seasons. It's a decade-long career, and he struggled mightily out of the gate. Okay. So this is one of the guys that I did not want, and especially not want in a short season.
Kind of like an Edward Encarnacion. He's notorious for slow starts too, right?
That's also true. We also know Matt Carpenter is a little bit of a slow starter. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see those guys that we absolutely know have always started slow. Is it actually the heat, or they just needed a little bit longer than most guys to find their timing?
Well, like I told you that one year, yeah, for Carpenter, it definitely is, for sure.
Yeah. You nailed that one.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Those are always fun. It's totally that. When that works and it happens, it's like, called it. Told you.
But I know you like this next guy. This is kind of exciting news for Corbin Burnes in Milwaukee, right? I know you've picked him up. You like Corbin Burnes as their number 5 starter, right?
I hate Corbin Burnes, first of all. He set like a major league record for striking out Cardinals in an inning or something like that. He struck out like 10 Cardinals in an inning. I'm pretty
I was saying, wait a minute.
Pretty sure that's what happened.
All right.
Pass ball. He was so wide. Yeah, no, he's got talent. Has a problem with some walks. Has a problem keeping the ball in the yard. But he looks like he might be the guy. And I know you were going to maybe poo-poo on him. You're going to press me on this. I was just taking a flyer on him out of desperation. You're talking about my waiver wire pickup, right? On that guy.
Well, right. Once the news broke that he's probably the number 5 in Milwaukee, yeah. I mean, a lot of people started talking about him. Yeah,
and I jumped on him for that reason. I watched some of the footage where he was pitching. His stuff looks really nasty. And
his slider is really nasty. It's like a 45.9 whiff percentage, 50% K rate on the slider. His fastball, his 4-seamer is struggles a lot. It's kind of garbage. Right.
Well, I thought he was throwing a 2-seamer in there too that had a lot of movement on it.
No, I don't see. It looks like he basically works fastball, slider, 4-seamer. 60% of the time, slider. He has a curveball
movement on it.
He has a curveball that he touches on, and it looks like he threw the cutter like twice last year.
No, well, maybe I was watching somebody else then.
But here's the thing: when I started to look this up on Corbin Burnes, he does absolutely have one of the best sliders in the game. This is what everyone wants to talk about, right? But who else do we know that's a young star in the NL Central that also has one of the nastiest sliders but struggles with his fastball?
You're not talking about Flaherty.
No, I'm not talking. Well, that's interesting.
You said in the Central?
Still in the Central, much younger. I think we're talking about Mitch Keller. Okay, this is the Mitch Keller profile, essentially, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Could be. He struggled out of the gate with his fastball, just got punished repeatedly. Like you said, gave up a ton of home runs. but the slider was just absolutely filthy. I think just the other day, Corbin Burns went 4 innings, 7 strikeouts, no hits. So it looked real sexy. And then they came out with the announcement he's probably the starter. But now when you start to look at the numbers, I'm a little scared of that fastball.
Yeah, like I said, it's when they're hitting it and hitting it out of the park hard
in Milwaukee.
It doesn't come in Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee.
That's like Jack Buck said when Candy Maldonado was batting before Chili Davis. He said Candy before Chili. That's a bad combination.
There's some natural positive regression that will probably happen for Corbin Burns. His left on base percentage was 57.4. Okay, that's not very good.
So bad.
That's not very good.
And not sustainable. That
and his BABIP was 414. 414. Okay, that's rough.
That is rough.
So that kind of mirrors the Mitch Keller situation, though. But when we look at his fastball specifically, the batting average against was 449. The expected batting average, though, 356. That's still not good, right? Yeah. The slug against the fastball, 866. The expected slug, better, but it's still 688. Okay, it's not a good fastball.
So you're saying that's high.
Woof. That's rough, man. Like he's throwing 95. Okay. We like it 95 plus. Okay. So he's right there at that border. But if that doesn't get any better, it's still probably trouble for Corbin Burns.
Maybe this isn't a guy where you have him, what's the rule of thumb is you set up everything with your fastball. Obviously he shouldn't be doing that maybe.
Throwing it 60% of the time and then 34% of the time with the slider. Maybe he just completely switches that.
Flip-flops that.
Right. I did get excited just as everyone else when that news came out. But I'm not sure. I didn't actually go there in FAAB today. Ben, FAAB just cleared about an hour ago. I guess you're waiting till next week?
Yeah. Well, I didn't read – I had a busy weekend. I didn't get the timing done. But as it turns out, I wouldn't have got anybody that I was going to shoot for. Anyway.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What happened? Now, listen, we went live shortly after, I think it was like 9:20, 9:30. So some of the information on the FAAB is still coming in. We checked our teams and then moved on. But here, I wrote down some of the highlights of this week and this Sunday. It was Aaron Hicks. Rich Hill wasn't drafted way back in February. Zach Britton, we know, is going to probably close for the Yankees for a week or two at least. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa is the starting third baseman for the Rangers, also with catcher eligibility. So that was exciting for a lot of people. And then Corey Knebel was out there. There's a host of some other guys, but we wanted to give you some of these numbers, what we saw on Twitter before we went live. Ben, I went after Aaron Hicks. I got him for $213 out of a purse of $1,000 for this season. I was nervous with that bid. I overbid the second place bid by over $100. So that stung.
Not in my league, pal.
Right.
Not even fucking close.
How much did Aaron Hicks go for in your league?
Well, okay, so I got him. Aaron Hicks still, you wouldn't, 305. 305 in mine. The next runner-up was 202. But the big one was Rich Hill, which that's who I wanted to get because I need a Syndergaard. I need a Thor replacement. 496. I was going to allocate a quarter of the FAAB for each of those guys. Wouldn't even come close. So, I mean, that was shocking. And then you told me what you got for. I'm like, how is this such a discrepancy here?
Right.
I mean, but I think you saw another league where Hill went for 500 or something. So, I mean, it's not.
Each week as this plays out, we're going to see these type of discrepancies. There's 26 TGFBI leagues. Okay. Yeah. So like you mentioned, I was able to get Aaron Hicks for 213, and then the next highest bid was 101. So I do actually feel kind of okay with that bid. Now that I saw that on Twitter, someone bidded $428 for Aaron Hicks. Like, I liked him. I went after him. I spent half of what this guy did.
Yeah.
$428. Rich Hill, like you mentioned, 501. Someone bid half of their FAAB. Now, granted, it's a small season. I know you got to get your guys.
We knew this was going to happen, right? It's funny to watch. It's like a train wreck, man. You can't. Wait, did I hear something there? Oh, look at that! It's even in an ugly koozie.
I got them lined up today, brother.
Yeah, but I mean, a little. It still doesn't take away from the shock value of that for me. I was like, holy moly, that's half your
FAAB.
I'm.
Look, we don't understand. We didn't see that guy's rotation. We don't know what he's working with.
Right.
If he needed him, he went and got him. So that's entirely possible.
No, this isn't a knock on anybody that's doing that. It's like we knew FAAB was going to be crazy. Waiver wire was going to be nuts because you can't just sit around and wait. And that being said, I did want to get. I didn't really want to get. I was like, I felt like I had to get Hill, and
right.
So it didn't work out. I'll live.
There's going to be more starting pitchers out there. This next one, listen,
I'm just going to outbid everybody next week.
Well, I didn't want to hound anybody on their bids because, like I said, we have no idea what they're working with their rotation. They might have lost Noah as well, Noah Syndergaard, and some other players as well. But this next guy's probably a rental. It's probably a rental. Right. Zach Britton is probably only closing for the Yankees for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Somebody spent $428 on him.
That's tough.
You nearly spent 50% of your FAAB week one on the very first day. 424. I'm just blown away. I'm truly just blown away. I think
just a big Zach Britton fan, man.
That's entirely pissed. Maybe it was Mrs. Britton. Maybe she's in the TGFBI. Right.
So that'd be like insider information, though. That's like insider trading.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
That one. I'm calling that a mistake. I'm going to be gentle. I'm going to call it a mistake. That makes no sense to me.
Nah, I'm telling you, there is going to be you're going to see some wacky shit with this.
I can't wait. I'm having a blast with it. This other one, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, as we said, he's going to be starting third base for the Rangers. Catcher eligibility also in TGFBI. He went for $322 in a league. That seems a lot of money for a second catcher.
Or a starting third baseman. I guess he hit like 8 home runs in spring training or some silliness, but he hasn't hit like more than 5 in a season. So I'm not sure I'd be willing to say that was a mistake more than the Britton one almost. Maybe Chapman is really effed up from having the Rona or whatever, and Britain. I don't know. That seems like a real reach.
I suppose that's a possibility. We don't actually know yet. It does seem a little bit extreme right now. Then we also saw Corey Knebel go for $70. We hasn't been named the closer in Milwaukee. We don't know that. That seems like a lot of money. I was able to score 2 guys that I think can get saves, can get closer. Maybe not the closer title necessarily, but I actually grabbed Sergio Romo in Minnesota for like $1. I also got Trevor Rosenthal for like $2 in Kansas City. When we're talking about the short, compressed season, okay, Rogers is clearly the better pitcher in Minnesota, but I think he's not going to be able to pitch every day. They're going to give him a ton of opportunities because we know that's a very good baseball team for the Twins. But I think the next guy up might be Sergio Romo, right?
Unfortunately, you're probably right. And Rogers is like a Brandon Workman, maybe a Liam Hendricks, where they're probably due for some regression. And they had a hard time giving Rogers the gig last year, and he was really good. And I think Romo even got a shot at a couple of saves, and he blew him in Minnesota. If he would have, probably been a different story, would nail him down. But yeah, those are some sexy picks, man.
Minnesota was reluctant to hand it over to Rogers because he's a lefty. He's one of their best lefties. He might be the only lefty in that bullpen, right? So you don't actually want to do that. It's the same thing that's happening in Milwaukee with Hader, right?
Well, and Rosenthal's right, and Rosenthal's a smart pick in Kansas City. For FAAB purposes, just for a flyer, because like Wack was saying, Matheny's in there, man, and he's the loyalist to the fault manager. You know what I mean? And Rosenthal pitched for him fairly well for him for a season or two in St. Louis. That's not a bad. And then you got Ian Kennedy. Who's all in on Ian Kennedy? Raise your hand.
This is exactly why I was willing to spend $1 or $2 on Rosenthal. Okay, he's ramped it up. He was having a good spring. I think he was over triple digits. He was throwing over 100 miles an hour in spring training. If he had harnessed some of those walk problems that he had in St. Louis, this could easily be a guy that walks into closer duties in Kansas City.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? He's totally solved the walk problem. He's fine.
It's entirely possible.
Anything's possible, man.
Yeah.
That for a buck. Boom. You could have lightning in a bottle right there.
That's all we really had for today. I want to thank everyone for listening. I think we had a really great time, Ben. Let's talk about our last show before we sign off, right? We did the little around the horn theme.
Yeah, that was fun.
With Coach and Nick Retrieve.
With a couple of great guys. This is a little weird. I mean, honestly, I was going to say that in the beginning of the show, and I forgot. This is weird. We haven't been just the two of us
just me and you
for a while.
Yeah.
So it's awesome having different guys on and different perspectives and you expand your knowledge base that way. It's totally cool, man.
Right. It's been a lot of fun. I think we had a lot of fun with that. I think at least once a month during the regular season, we'll try to do something like that. We'll have people on and we'll do that type of show. Okay. So if you've ever wanted to be on Sit Down with the Dudes, go ahead, get into my DMs, slide into my DMs.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it. Don't make me bark on your door. Just come on.
Just come on and verbally slap me around. Everybody likes that. That's a lot of fun. I'll take it. I love it.
No, I'm not. But dead serious. If you ever wanted to reach out and sit down with us, you're absolutely welcome. So go ahead, reach out to us at Open Bar Dudes and Open Bar Ben. That's all I had for today. Ben, you got anything to sign off?
Nope. This is going to be a crazy season, fellas, guys and gals. Buckle up. Buckle up, Spanky.
Thanks for listening.
All right.